a compound move and muscle mass builder for quadriceps, I would choose either squats or hack squats. I would perform 3 warm-up sets and then I would execute Contrary to other hamstring exercises, this exercise involves both hip and knee joint. Hamstring is composed of biceps femoris or leg biceps and semitendinosus and semimembranosus. Because hamstring muscles are primarily composed of white, fast-twitch muscle fibers, appropriate workout design would be heavy weights, low repetition protocols, and I recommend 3 sets of 6 to 8 repetitions. Only movement in this exercise is knee joint flexion. All 3 hamstrings muscles are involved. Normally, hamstrings produces less force at the end of the movement, and that's why most of the machines now have that hump position to allow better stretch. Hamstring responds especially good during eccentric contraction. Even though a lot of experts believe that hamstring will contract harder if they are trained one leg at a time because of neurological effect called bilateral deficit, I would strongly recommend to make this exercise regular in your routine. As I said earlier, a lot of trainers prefer unilateral hamstring training, and this exercise is a great choice, one leg at a time. Besides knee flexion, in this exercise we have semi-hip extension. More stress is put on the short head of the biceps femoris, and that would give us appearance of a thicker hamstring region. My recommendation is 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 10 repetitions. Moving your knee laterally would involve more biceps femoris fibers, and moving it inward medially would stimulate more semitendinosus and semimembranosus. This is a very effective exercise. It's excellent choice for complete thigh and glute muscle development. Some people like straight bar instead of the dumbbells. Some like to perform on the machine. This exercise requires some coordination. Regardless of what you choose, just do it. This is one of the best exercises you can do for your overall thigh development. 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions each. Standing calf raises or ankle extension involve gastrocnemius and soleus muscles. Gastrocnemius shapes upper portion of the back of the shin and has 2 heads, medial and lateral head. Soleus is wider muscle and it's located directly underneath the gastrocnemius. This is a great compound exercise, muscle builder, to build overall mass of your calf muscles. I would suggest 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 10 repetitions each. Put emphasis on the full range of motion and complete stretch. In this exercise, there is greater involvement of soleus muscle, And because soleus is composed of predominantly slow twitch, red muscle fibers, high repetition protocol is recommended. I would still emphasize eccentric portion of the movement, have isometric contraction on the bottom, and reduce lifting speed. At the top, I would have strong concentric contraction. My recommendation is 2 to 3 sets of 15 to 20 repetitions each. Collectively, gastrocnemius and soleus muscles are known as the triceps surae muscle group. This and any other machine toe raise would work both gastrocnemius and soleus. Gastrocnemius is stronger when your leg is straight, so in this exercise, more weight you use, more gastrocnemius is being stressed. Again, for calves, important aspects are tempo, slow and controlled, complete stretch, and a strong contraction. 2 sets works almost every muscle on the upper back, but is used in bodybuilding as effective upper back exercise to widen our back. Do 3 sets with maximum amount of reps, and if you can do more than 15, add weight and keep your reps between 8 and 12. This exercise is considered best bulking up exercise. It's really essential for every bodybuilder. Most of us like to use pull-down machines to stimulate this move, but for neuropsychological reasons, chin is a superior exercise. Stabilization involves more muscle mass. For chin-ups, we can use supinated or semi-supinated grip, and depending on the width of the grip and position of the torso, we can put more stress on different areas of the back. In-depth explanation is back training video of True Bodybuilding series. From standpoint of effectiveness, this is inferior exercise to pull-ups, but it's still very popular among bodybuilders. Pull-ups is definitely a better choice. With pronated grip, it involves latissimus dorsi, teres major, rhomboids, subscapularis, coracobrachialis, pectoralis major and minor, biceps, triceps, brachialis, and brachioradialis. Wider grip recruits more upper back muscle fibers. Trick to this exercise is to really pull down from elbows, not from your hands. From fully extended arm position, relax your shoulders to feel strong stretch on your lats. Bring your elbows all the way down and make strong contraction on the bottom. Do 2 to 3 sets as a warm-up, and then 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions. As you're pulling the bar down, you will feel your biceps and all your elbow flexors contract. This is to stabilize the elbow joint. And then you can start contracting on your elbows and not your hands to bring the bar down to your upper chest area. Besides lats, elbow flexors, rhomboids, and teres major, pectoralis, both minor and major, are involved in this movement. Do 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions each. Pull down with reverse grip is very effective exercise. Actually, it stimulates chin-up movement. Supinated grip allows us to have better stretch on the lats. Keeping the torso upright and stationary, we will pull the bar to our pectoralis muscle and make strong contraction. Think that your arms are hooks that connect you with the bar, and again focus on pulling with your elbows, not your hands. Don't lean back. Closer grip would involve more latissimus muscle, and wider grip would involve more teres major. Do again 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions movement of the chin-up. It works every muscle on the upper back area, and especially latissimus. The torso is upright and stationary, and bar is pulled to the upper chest. If you would lean backward, this would turn into a rowing exercise similar to seated row. Again, do 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. This is popular exercise to work middle back area and portion of your lower lats. It is a good choice for thickness, just like any other rowing movement. Besides latissimus dorsi, teres major, pectoralis muscles, rhomboids, elbow flexors and triceps. This exercise also involves middle trapezius and rear delts. Depending on position of your elbows, grip, and direction of concentric movement, we can stimulate muscle fibers of different region of latissimus muscle, as you can see here on the video. Lower lats would be stressed if we do seated row to our waist, keeping the elbows in a vertical plane. If we raise our elbows to horizontal plane and do seated row to our chest, we would emphasize middle and upper lats and rhomboids. My suggestion for seated cable row is 3 sets of 6 to 10 repetitions. Alternate wide and close grip in succeeding workouts. This is one of the true hardcore exercises. If you want thick latissimus dorsi, this exercise is a must. To take as much stress off the lower back, arch your back and keep your torso in that position. Relaxing your shoulders, let the weight stretch your lats, and then drive the elbows all the way back to the point of peak contraction. Again, use your arms as the hooks and feel the pulling from your elbows. Variety of grips could be used, and bar could be lifted towards your waist or your chest with elbows close to the body or wide apart. This is an excellent choice for both fast-twitch muscle fiber and slow-twitch muscle fiber training. As my workout design, I always choose 2 exercises for white muscle fibers and do low repetition protocols, and then 2 for red muscle fibers with more repetitions. Dumbbell rows are great for either mass building or shaping exercise. Involved muscles are latissimus dorsi, teres minor and major, rhomboids, trapezius, rear delts, and infraspinatus. Variations are numerous depending on grip, direction of concentric contraction, and position of your elbows. This is very effective exercise for complete back development. Involves all the thigh muscles and almost every muscle on your upper body. Extends knee and hip joint and is considered one of the best exercises for various sports. Without hip and knee extension, nobody could walk, run, jump, or kick. It is the best exercise for adding mass and strengthening the lower back area. Do 3 sets with heavy weights, 6 to 10 repetitions. This could be potentially dangerous exercise, so it is important to learn to bend correctly from the hips and maintain slightly arched position of your spine. Muscles involved in this movement are gluteus maximus and upper hamstrings during hip joint extension. And lower back muscle erector spinae is involved in statically holding your spine arched. Raise your trunk back with slow controlled movement. Do 2 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions each. Hyperextension is a popular exercise to develop spinal erectors of the lower back. I like to perform this exercise somewhat differently. As you can see, I'm only rounding my back without extending my hip joint. I find this way I isolate my erectors more without much involvement of glutes and hamstrings muscles. I do 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions. Though genetically every individual is limited by their biochromial width, they can still create the illusion of having wide shoulders by increasing thickness and muscle mass of the medial head of the delts. Keeping your palms down throughout the movement and bending your arms just 5 to 10 degrees, you would raise the dumbbells just above your shoulder level. After strong peak contraction at the top, control eccentric phase on the way down. Rotating your arms will change muscle fiber recruitment. An angle of lateral contraction can determine which part of the muscle would get more stimulation. This exercise also targets medial or lateral head of your deltoids. For people that like resistance of the cables more in comparison to free weights, this is choice exercise. Also, supraspinatus or rotator cuff muscle, trapezius, and serratus anterior are involved. Again, slight modification in body positioning and direction of the lateral movement would recruit different parts of the medial head. With cable side laterals behind our body, Posterior fiber of medial head would be under great stress, and with the cable side laterals in front of us, anterior fibers of medial head is going to come into play. Dumbbell overhead press is great shoulder developing exercise, especially the middle portion of the deltoid, but also anterior and posterior deltoids. As the elbows move from below the shoulders to above the head, deltoid is very active. Muscles involved are deltoids, triceps, trapezius, rhomboid, serratus anterior, supraspinatus, and levator scapula. Emphasize slow eccentric phase and then accelerate on the concentric phase. This exercise is a great combination exercise. Involves every head of a deltoid complex. Also, secondary movers are serratus anterior, trapezius, triceps, rotator cuff muscles, and the upper portion of the pectoralis major. Do 3 sets, 6 to 10 repetitions each. This exercise causes shoulder joint flexion that occurs when the arm is raised upward. Raise the arm to about 45 degrees above the level of your shoulders and then slightly inward. That puts extra stress on the anterior head of the deltoids. Muscles involved are trapezius, pectoralis, coracobrachialis, and serratus anterior. It is a great pre-contest exercise to enhance front delt to the upper pec separation. With pronated grip, you would include medial head as well. Neutral grip puts the pressure on anterior head. This is variation of the previous exercise, and because of pronated grip, it works anterior deltoid to a lesser degree than dumbbell front raise with neutral grip. If the grip is too close, your pectoralis are going to be stressed more. Wider the grip, more emphasis is on the shoulders. This movement is also good to improve posture and strengthen stabilizing muscles. Muscles involved beside primary movers are biceps, rhomboids, levator scapulae, serratus, and pectoralis major and minor. Do 3 sets of 6 to 12 repetitions each. Muscles involved in this exercise are rear delts, infraspinatus, rhomboids, trapezius, and teres minor. Sitting and leaning forward, concentrate on putting your elbows back with your middle back muscles all the way behind your back. If you bring your elbows close to the body, you would lose involvement of rear delts and latissimus would perform most of the work. This is a good choice for shaping exercise, red muscle fiber specific. Do 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 repetitions. Cable exercises for rear delts would have the advantage over dumbbells as it would allow us to have a greater stretch and therefore stronger muscle contraction and more motor units and muscle fibers stimulated. Rear delts, posterior fibers of the middle delt, teres minor and infraspinatus would be involved in this movement. Also, a good choice is incline bench rear delt flies, and I would again suggest shaping exercise, red muscle fiber specific, 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 repetitions each. If you want to find exercise that would stimulate white muscle fibers of the rear delt, this is the answer. This is true hardcore exercise. In bent over position, make sure to keep arching your back, pull heavy dumbbell as high as you can. Use heavy weights for 3 sets, 6 to 8 repetitions max. This is popular exercise to develop trapezius muscles, levator scapulae, and also rhomboids. Raise shoulders as high as possible during shrugging action. It is not necessary to use extremely heavy weights. Instead, emphasize full range of motion. If you want to stimulate the upper portion of the traps, you have to raise your shoulders to your ear level. Shoulder elevation is caused by concentric contraction of all 3 muscles, trapezius, rhomboids, and levator scapulae. Do 3 sets of 10 repetitions each. The upright row builds mass and strengthens muscle of the shoulders and the upper and middle back. It is a good choice if you want to make your shoulders wider. For maximum stress of a medial head, keep easy bar or a straight bar close to the body with elbows out to the sides in line with the trunk. If you want more front deltoid involvement, move your elbows and a bar in front of your body. Raise the elbows as high as possible. This is my number 1 exercise for abdominals. I have argued for years with many biomechanic experts and kinesiologists who are trying to convince me that because hip flexors are muscles primarily involved in this exercise, it wouldn't be very productive for the abs. I totally disagree. While hip flexors do play the role in initial raising of the legs, abs play the major role in raising the legs and rotating the hips in the upper part of the motion. Also, abs are always in isometric contraction to stabilize and hold pelvis stationary. If you bend your knees, you would reduce the resistance and you will be able to possibly do more repetitions. The hanging side leg raises involved also muscles from the lower back area, erector spinae and quadratus lumborum, as we have lateral flexion of the spine. Muscles involved in hanging leg raises are rectus abdominis, external and internal obliques, iliacus, pectineus, and rectus femoris. This is variation of a cable crunch exercise done unilaterally. Even though range of motion is only a few inches, it is possible to create strong contraction and work your internal and external obliques. I would suggest 2 to 3 sets of 15 repetitions each. This exercise works the abdominals throughout the greater range of motion than traditional crunch. Also, it's a good choice to establish mind and muscle connection. As absolutely no movement should take place in the hips, this exercise excludes hip flexors. The only action is spinal column flexion, and rectus abdominis performs most of the work. Physiologically, rectus abdominis could be stretched if your torso could bend backwards 15 to 20 degrees. That would create maximum tension in the abdominal wall. This exercise allows us to fully stretch our abs, contrary to traditional crunches.